Hey, welcome back to the stash. The Amazing Spider-Man, a title that should mean something. This is the book that properly created Marvel's most beloved character. The book that redefined what a superhero comic could be. The book that once told stories about power, responsibility, heartbreak, perseverance, and hope, all through the lens of one man doing his best to keep moving forward. But now, The Amazing Spider-Man just feels like a hollow name slapped on the cover of something that barely understands why people love this series in the first place. It's been a rough couple of decades for Spidey fans. Between editorial mandates, character regression, retcons that go nowhere, and arcs that seem more interested in treading water than telling meaningful stories, the main Spider-Man book painfully feels like a ghost of what once was. And coming off Zeb Wells' Disaster, a book that left behind a trail of wreckage, emotionally, narratively, and thematically, this run has played it completely safe so far. And while it's not exactly fair to lay the entire blame on one person, the reality is this. We're watching Marvel treat its most iconic hero like a placeholder. A character stuck in a constant holding pattern while the real creativity happens somewhere else. So when Joe Kelly continued his run with this new Hellgate arc, I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting a miracle, but I was hoping for something. Be it something different, something fun, or at least something that tried to honor the legacy of Spider-Man while carving a new path forward. Because no matter how desensitized you get, no matter how many times Marvel lets you down, there's still that small part of you that hopes the next issue might surprise you. That maybe someone in that Spidey office remembers what made this character special. So here we are, issue 7 of The Amazing Spider-Man. The beginning of a new arc, a new villain, a new dynamic, a new opportunity to get things back on track, but potentially a new failure to add to the long list of brand new day failures. All I will say for now though is that this issue left me with a lot of thoughts. But before we properly begin, I want to take a quick second to say that here at The Stash we're trying to reach 13,000 subscribers before the end of the month. It's a huge ask, I know, but with your help I also know we can do it, so if you can, please hit that subscribe button. Any support here truly does mean the world to me. But with all that said, let's jump right back into the video. The Hellgate has arrived, and Spider-Man's world is fittingly about to become a living hell. Questions fill Spidey's mind, but the biggest being why? Why is this strange figure now standing before him? It turns out that the Hellgate has travelled far and wide to stand before the man he calls the Prince of Steel Silk, also that they may engage in a parley. For their meeting and a great alliance is foretold. Spider-Man entertains the idea, even with all of the Black Cat's attempts at warning him not to, but he tells Hellgate that he'll have to wait a little bit before he can join him, since his original mission is taking priority. However, the Hellgate doesn't take too kindly to it, and kills Hobgoblin's crew also he and Spidey can continue. This naturally causes Spider-Man to freak out, and he tries to attack the Hellgate. The attack though is futile. With a hand gesture, he sends Spidey flying back as he smashes through a windshield. Already he's bruised and battered, but the fight has only just begun. Meanwhile at the Port Authority bus terminal, Hermes Crenshaw has just arrived in Manhattan, with the goal of saving the world right at the very forefront of his mind. Back with Spidey, and his life isn't getting any better anytime soon. No matter what he hits him with, the Hellgate feels as if he isn't even trying. And no matter what he does, it feels like he's got no effect on him whatsoever. Then suddenly, bullets begin to spray onto their newfound foe. For the Black Cat is making some good use out of the 2 SMGs she's found. She warns Peter once again to run for his life, and this time, thanks to a memory of Uncle Ben, he actually listens. Spider-Man swings as fast as he can, but the Hellgate isn't letting Peter go anywhere without him anytime soon. Blast shoots onwards, suffocating Spidey's surroundings. Then, in a desperate move, he shoots out 2 entire web cartridges in a last-ditch attempt to stop the Hellgate. For a moment, it feels like it worked. Until, like a demon possessed, the Hellgate rips all the webbing off. During all this though, it seems a new fighter is now set on an uncertain path. But anyway, Spider-Man is ready to use one of his greatest powers, his mind. Using some quick thinking and his valuable knowledge of science, he's able to completely freeze the Hellgate solid. And for a brief relieving moment, everything is silent. But not for long. The ice statue begins to shake, energy begins to pulsate from the figure, until the Hellgate, yet again, frees himself, demanding for the wall crawler to show him more. Coming off the mediocre start of Joe Kelly's The Amazing Spider-Man run, I wasn't really sure what to expect within this new Hellgate arc. I mean, overall, the first 6 issues have been all round okay, with maybe an exception or two being actually pretty decent to a degree, but by all means, as we've said countless times before, this is a comic designed to be as safe as humanly possible. I mean, they've totally regressed any and all progression Peter and Shay made together, which was a completely expected thing, by the way, with all the post One More Day love interests. It's just a reoccurring theme with them. It also just harkens back to how the Amazing Spider-Man comics are just so afraid to commit to anything, even including their own poor story choices. And so after reading issue 6, which was basically filler, I guess I was just hoping for this new story to be fun, at the very least, and in all honesty, issue 7 of The Amazing Spider-Man was painfully mediocre again.
Mediocre?
Like, this entire issue was basically one long cat and mouse game, with an occasional page or two dedicated to building the weak foundation of the story, and while I do think that there's definitely some stronger elements here, unfortunately the main issues still very much persist. One of the biggest being Joe Kelly's unbearable dialogue. Now, this might just be a me thing, feel free to let me know if you feel the same, but I just can't simply stand the way Kelly writes people in his comics. I know I've made this joke before, but it genuinely feels like a middle-aged man trying his hardest to sound hip and cool because that's exactly what it is. Like, there are so many times where I just roll my eyes or pretend like I didn't just read the speech bubble within this run simply because it's on par with the first TASM game.
I have to help you? You tased me, bro!
Also, I cannot for the life of me stand the Spider-Man cliche where he talks about how great his life has been for the past, 2 minutes, and then suddenly everything goes to complete shit again. It happens all the time, and it never gets funnier considering it was never funny to begin with. Where this issue succeeds the most for me, though, would probably be just in how Hellgate is this unstoppable force who is trying to get a real fight out of Peter. It was interesting enough, even though it felt lazily put together through older Spider-Man stories once again. Hey, would you look at that? Romita Jr. did the same issue too.
Well, that's just lazy writing.
His design is a tad bit basic, and overall so is his character from what we've seen so far, but anything's better than Wreck Rap, I guess. I don't know, I just wish there was more here. It's painfully average, and only continuing to prove the idea that this run is just one giant placeholder volume to get some separation from the train wreck that is Zeb Wells' The Amazing Spider-Man. It really feels like there's a proper clear vision here. Hell, even the Uncle Ben flashback scene was also really out of place and just kind of random, I guess. It worked well for the story trying to be told in the first 5 issues, but there's no need to bring it back for literally one panel with no build up to it for this story. Felicia at least was a little cooler here, and actually written like a human with emotions beyond that of wanting to occasionally sleep with Spider-Man, which was nice. I do wonder how this arc is going to lead into a new series coming out next month. I'm actually a little bit looking forward to seeing her finally get the chance to be written properly again. It's been way too long since that's happened. If I'm being honest though, the artwork here didn't actually bother me like John Romita Jr.'s other modern works have, which was a nice surprise. Pretty sure it's the same guy on inks too as before, but I just think it's been working more than usual, which is a good thing. Still a bit sad to leave Pepe Larraz's work behind for just a little bit, considering his style is just incredible, but I guess maybe Romita Jr.'s might fit more with the design of Hellgate. Overall though, when I take a proper step back and let issue 7 of The Amazing Spider-Man settle in, I just can't shake the feeling that this book is still so incredibly hollow and mid. Like, even for the more average to decent issues, there's this overlaying feeling that it's all for nothing, that there's no real work for the story or the characters being done here. It's the comic book equivalent of fast food. It's meant to just get the job done for a short while before you inevitably get hungry again for something more. And that's annoying. It's really annoying because this is the main title, The Amazing Spider-Man. It shouldn't be this complete afterthought or a place where all the good ideas now lay dead beneath the rubble of slop the Spidey office for the last 20 years has lazily produced over it. I truly feel bad for those who have only ever experienced these sort of comic books for Spidey. I mean, they're completely missing out on a goldmine of Spidey stories because this just isn't it. I want there to be more to the story, but it feels like that wish might never come true. It certainly won't with Joe Kelly's writing and with Nick Lowe still in charge, and with Spider-Man soon going cosmic and there being more and more additions of Spider people to the 616, all I can think of is...
They're crap. 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 Mega crap.